Ma'am, this lounge is reserved for first class or private jet passengers only. I know, the woman replied calmly, her hands tucked casually into the pockets of her faded black hoodie. Then why are you here? The staff member asked, his tone bordering on amusement. I'm flying private, she answered, voice low but steady. The man gave her a once-over, his gaze lingering on the worn sneakers, the scuffed jeans, the simple canvas tote slung over her shoulder. A corner of a brown paper lunch bag poked from the top. You're flying private? He repeated, chuckling. Sure, and I'm the King of England. She offered him a small, patient smile. Maybe check the manifest. Another employee, a younger woman with a headset, leaned in to whisper, should we just tell her to wait in the public lounge? The man shrugged. Let's give it a minute. She'll figure it out. But within 10 minutes, any laughter would be drowned out by the thunderous roar of engines. And the woman they had mocked would walk confidently onto a sleek white jet, the name, Dawson International Holdings, emblazoned in gold script along its side. Her name was Amelia Dawson, and she wasn't a passenger, she was the owner. Amelia was 34 years old, a Filipino-American entrepreneur who had built her fortune from the ground up. Her company specialized in emergency logistics and rapid supply chain solutions, a sector most had never even considered until wildfires, hurricanes, and floods demanded faster responses than government agencies could deliver. Her headquarters were nestled in San Diego, but her work spanned continents. And today, she had a quiet meeting scheduled with a new international partner in New York. No fanfare, no entourage, just her, a folder of contracts, and her ever-present belief that real power moved silently. She had learned early what it meant to be underestimated. She never forgot delivering lumpia trays from her mother's kitchen to downtown offices as a teenager, feeling invisible in her oversized apron or scrubbing cafeteria tables while reading business management textbooks tucked under napkin dispensers. Even after growing her business into a multi-million-dollar empire, she stayed simple, stayed grounded. She dressed for comfort, not recognition, and people, as they always had, judged what they could see, never what she carried inside. She walked into the private terminal at 9:20 a.m., carrying only her tote bag and a quiet focus. The front desk was manned by 2 employees, neither of whom offered more than a disinterested glance as she approached. Good morning, she said politely. I have a 10 a.m. departure from this terminal. Jet is parked on runway 4. The woman behind the counter barely masked her skepticism. And your name? Amelia Dawson. The attendant blinked rapidly. Dawson? She repeated. As in Dawson International Holdings? That's right, Amelia said. The man next to her snickered. You're saying you're the Amelia Dawson? Yes. He leaned forward, lowering his voice like he was delivering a punchline to a private joke. Look, I don't mean to be rude, but we've had creative types try to slip through before. You'll need credentials or a listed pilot code. Without missing a beat, Amelia pulled a folder from her tote and handed it over. The woman inspected the document with narrowed eyes. FAA clearances, charter authorizations, verification codes, all perfectly legitimate. Still, they exchanged another doubtful glance. Well, the woman muttered, setting the folder down, you don't look like most of the folks we usually see around here. Amelia said nothing. She simply offered a nod and moved to a seat by the wide windows overlooking the tarmac. She pulled out her phone, thumbed out a brief text message, then waited at exactly 9:58 a.m. The tarmac doors swung open with a loud hiss. 3 uniformed ground crew members rushed out to prepare the newly arrived jet. It was a beauty, sleek, polished, and gleaming in the sunlight. Across the fuselage, unmistakable in bold gold lettering, was the logo, DIH, her plane, her company, her legacy. The pilot stepped briskly into the terminal, clipboard in hand. Is Ms. Dawson ready? He asked the front desk. The woman at the counter stammered. You're here for her. Yes, ma'am, the pilot said. Owner's priority. Everything's been pre-cleared. The staff went rigid. The man who had laughed earlier opened his mouth to speak, but Amelia was already standing, slinging her tote over her shoulder with practiced ease. She approached the desk, calm as ever. The man's face flushed crimson. "Ms. Dawson," he began, voice stumbling, "about earlier." It's okay," she said gently, looking him straight in the eyes. "You didn't recognize me. But it wasn't about that, was it?" He swallowed thickly and lowered his gaze. "It was about what I was wearing," she continued. "About what you thought you knew." Without another word, she turned and headed for the runway, her sneakers squeaking softly against the tiled the door. She paused. "Next time someone walks through here looking too simple to belong," she said, voice cutting through the silence, "remember today." She stepped onto the tarmac and boarded her jet. Unknown to Amelia, a maintenance worker from a neighboring hangar had witnessed the interaction. He captured a 30-second video clip of her boarding the aircraft and posted it online with a caption, "Airport staff laugh at Filipina woman in simple clothes," only to watch her board her own private jet. The video exploded overnight. Millions of views, thousands of comments. She didn't need to yell. She let the engine speak for her. Filipina power isn't loud. It's undeniable. Imagine laughing at the woman who owns the very runway you work on. Within days, the airport issued a quiet internal memo mandating bias training for all employees. The staff involved were reassigned indefinitely to less prestigious posts. But Amelia said nothing publicly. She didn't post a video. She didn't issue a statement. She didn't seek revenge. She was far too busy finalizing emergency contracts for hurricane relief in the Southeast, overseeing her foundation's new mentorship program for immigrant girls pursuing careers in STEM. Still, the memory stayed with her. Later that evening in New York, as she sat at a cafe with one of her longtime partners reviewing documents, he asked, "Why do you always travel alone? No security detail, no PR team, no flash." She smiled softly, sipping her coffee. "Because I learn the most," she said, "when no one knows who I am." The next month, she returned to the same private terminal, same worn sneakers, same faded jeans, same quiet air about her. But this time, when she entered, the atmosphere had changed and a new employee stood at the counter, his posture respectful, his smile genuine. "Miss Dawson, welcome back," he said warmly. "Your jet is ready. We're honored to have you." She smiled back, grateful but not surprised. Respect, after all, shouldn't be tied to a nameplate or a bank account. It should be tied to the basic dignity owed to every human being. Amelia Dawson boarded her plane without fanfare, the engines purring like a promise across the bright morning sky. And somewhere, beyond the roar of jets and the flicker of viral videos, another lesson had been quietly etched into the world: don't judge that don't assume. Because you might just be standing face to face with someone who owns the sky you take for granted. And she's not here to prove anything, that she's here to move everything forward.